My biggest win with the journey has been that inner peace and just that fundamental knowing that I've got full purpose and a great deal more happiness.
That was amazing for me and actually for my whole family. Allowed us to keep this open mind on life and to open to all the opportunities.
I have so much more freedom and self-connection and health and vibrancy. I just feel more alive.
The journey helped me to understand what my emotions are, not to be scared of them.
It changed my life. It cleared all blocks and brought into my consciousness what my heart's desire was.
Now I feel my life is easier. I feel stronger, feel what I feel and find a new solution.
To be free from the burden on my shoulders. I live in the moment now and I'm open to my emotions from the highest to the lowest.
Until the journey, I didn't really know that I could get to the same depth without using any substance. It's getting easier and easier to connect to the deepest part of myself.
Probably the biggest improvement is my inner life or my inner freedom to be as myself, in myself, not being a victim of circumstances and the other people.
The journey has really been a second chance in life for me. Having permission to dive deep and find out who the real authentic me was and just to be that person has just been wonderful.
When you listen to yourself and when you really touch your soul, something magical happens.
Life is different because of the journey. I feel I have all the tools I need to face whatever life throws at me. Life has become fun.
My biggest win was healing a broken heart, and not once, many times. I would never have been able to be in the position that I am in now had it not been for the journey.
Befriending myself in really accepting who I am, that I am perfectly imperfect and I don't need fixing.
I've gained so much. So there is no one big win. If it had to be named as one thing, I would just say it's life-changing.
It's changed my world, it's changed my life, it's changed me. And it's allowed me to be open and vulnerable and completely transparent.
My biggest win as a result of using the journey would definitely be my ability to network and expand upon the goals that I've had for such a long period of time.
My biggest win since attending the Journey Intensive has been finding myself. It has been healing, transforming.
I am just so much more receptive and open to whatever God has planned for me. At the very core of me, being able to experience that peace has been priceless.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to our discovery evening with Brandon Bays. My name is Yolana. I'm a journey practitioner and the Australasian host for the journey this evening. And our theme is discovering what your body is trying to tell you. And we're so lucky to have Brandon here with us tonight to share her wisdom on this topic. So before we begin, I want to acknowledge the country I'm on. I'm up here in Minyungbul country on the Bundjalung Nation. And I like to honour the land, the people who've walked on this place before me, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to the place where you are as well. And I would also like to thank those of you who have written in with sharing your messages and challenges on the topic that we faced tonight, that we are sharing about tonight, because it's something that Brandon has incorporated into what she'll be sharing, and she'll be weaving that into her teachings on this topic of discovering what your body is trying to tell you so that you can really heal and live to your full potential. Also want to say hi to the people who are watching from YouTube and on Facebook. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy this evening. And tonight is an experiential session as well. So as well as receiving a lot of wisdom from Brandon's many years of experience as an expert in health and wellness, she's also going to be guiding you in an introspection. And I just encourage you to really give yourself the space tonight to be fully present and participate fully so that you get the most out of this evening. Tonight, at the end of the session, we're also going to do something a little fun. We're holding a lottery. So if you stay to the end, we're going to draw one lucky winner and offer you a free ticket to our Journey Intensive Weekend. So I hope you will stay to the end and be part of that draw, and hopefully the lucky winner is you. So until then, I would like to welcome Brandon Bays. As I mentioned, she is an internationally known mind-body healing expert. She's the New York Times best-selling author of the book, The Journey, and her work, The Journey, has spread all over the globe now and is taught in many languages, in many countries, and we're very, very lucky to have her with us tonight. So welcome, Brandon.
And a heartfelt thank you, everyone, for joining in. I'm so looking forward to this session. It's not often I get to be on your time zone in Australasia, and I feel especially that it's excited because I'll be actually arriving on Australian soil on November 4th and staying till March 2nd. And so I may even have a chance to catch up with you in person. So I'm really looking forward to it. And this whole theme tonight, what is our body trying to tell us? You know, one of the things that I'm so grateful for is that all of you, or not all of you, many of you, send in the challenges you're facing physically and emotionally, and actually sent emails in, and I read every one of them. And I try to tailor this session around all of our collective issues that we're dealing with, so that it can be personal to you as well as to everyone. And one woman wrote in recently that she had been diagnosed with cancer and was undergoing treatment, but that she was aware that there was an emotional root cause, some buried emotional issue that was contributing to it. And I thought that was quite an astute thing for her to say, because actually what science has found is when you feel a strong emotion and you repress it, it actually releases into our bloodstream a quantifiable biochemistry, which will go to certain cell receptors and block them, rendering those cells incapable of communicating with the rest of the cells. And if over time illness happens, well, of course it happens when the cells are blocked. And unfortunately, what happens with this, with our cells, is when these emotional issues, when these traumas happen, these crises happen, and we shut down and the biochemistry is released, before that cell generation dies that's carrying that old programming, it passes on that programming to the next cell generation being born. So most of you know that I was diagnosed with a basketball-sized tumor when I was 39 years old. And when I got to the doctor's office, she said it probably started as one cell when I was 8 years old, which then duplicated. And by the time I'm 39 years old, and in the 3 months leading up to getting to the doctor's office, the cells were replicating exponentially and aggressively. And I looked about 6 months pregnant, though I knew I wasn't. And so this is the way the cells work inside our bodies, is there is absolutely an emotional corollary to and a component to our physical illnesses. For instance, if you ever had the experience of, let's say, driving in traffic, and you're on the Pacific Highway, and someone cuts you off, and out of nowhere, up comes the rage. Well, that person didn't come in the night and stick the rage there. The rage was already inside of you, and all that they did was push your buttons. They triggered that emotional pattern, which was already buried inside of you. And so all of us have these traumas stored inside. And of course, you've heard, let's say someone goes into an auto accident. What immediately happens in crisis and trauma? Our body goes into shock. And that's that shutdown that happens that I'm talking about, where there's a distinct biochemical reaction. And much gets buried and stored in our cells. And have you ever noticed that, like me, I've often had feet and ankle injuries, and I seem to get injured in the same place over and again, where I break an ankle, I get sprained an ankle, and, throughout my life. And it's because stored inside that injury is the old trauma from the past, is the old pain, the unmet emotional experience that you went through. And so that gets passed on to the next cell generation. And it's almost as if your body is trying to tell you, wake up. There's something here that you need to meet. One other person wrote in and she said that she is having chronic health issues, and talk about your body trying to tell you something, that as soon as you're trying to treat it just physically, that something's underlying that. As a matter of fact, there are 3 hospitals in Israel that, let's say you have a heart operation. At the end of the heart operation, you will be invited to go into a week-long recovery center where you will undergo the journey, which will take you on a journey inside your body to get to these cellular locations, to get to the emotional root cause of what co-created the heart disease in the first place. I mean, you don't need to be a medical doctor to know that it's very likely there's been a serious amount of stress that is co-created, not responsible entirely for the heart disease, but definitely is played its part. It's co-created the heart condition. Now, in another hospital, it has a special oncology unit. And again, once you've undergone your treatment, there's this recovery section where you undergo the journey process to get to the emotional corollary of what is co-creating the illness. And what they find with cancer, and they're actually shooting a documentary on all the case studies that they've done with the journey following medical treatment. So these are medical doctors working with journey practitioners and with other scientists in the field of health. And they're finding that over the years, the cancer doesn't return. It doesn't metastasize. Same thing with the heart disease. It doesn't return. Usually there's recurring heart conditions that return after there's been a heart operation. And so when you get to the emotional root cause of it, then it's like your cells can be regenerated, devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. Now, one woman was writing about osteoarthritis, or 2 actually, and 2 are writing about fibromyalgia. And again, the 3rd hospital specializes in that specifically. And they're finding that even though fibromyalgia is thought to be a degenerative disease from which there is no cure, that they are able to use the journey. And not only are people getting up out of their wheelchairs, not instantly, but over time, but they're finding they're able to live normal lives instead of their bodies getting more and more disabled. And so all of these people, I love to share their stories rather than just my own, because they are inspiration for all of us. That whether we've been diagnosed with something physical, or whether we're just aware that we've got emotional issues buried inside and that we're getting triggered all the time, that life is giving a wake-up call, that our bodies are trying to speak to us. And it's really an invitation for all of us to go on our own journeys inside of ourselves. Now, many of you wrote in, and it wasn't physical issues that you were talking about. One woman was talking about recurring anxiety and stress, another about how she just can't find any self-love because her self-esteem, her self-worth is so tanked that she can't even begin to find a way to accept herself, to love herself. Others spoke about self-worth or feeling a fear of failure. Still others had multiple issues where they felt that they were being triggered left, right, and center. And of course, during COVID, most of us around the world went into lockdown. And many of us weren't even allowed to go to work, that we had to work from home. And suddenly we become school teachers because we're having to, school our children. We're having to do our work from home. We're having to take care of the family, cook, clean. And there were more divorces during COVID than at any other time. Divorce lawyers were deluged because none of us were given a manual. How do you deal with the emotions that arise for you in a situation where none of us had experienced it before? And of course we were getting triggered. We were all in lockdown in these, like, this cauldron where we're held and our emotional issues being triggered left, right, and centers. And the ones who we are closest to are the ones triggering it. No one gave us a manual of how to cope with that. Well, the good news is that there is a process. And many of you, by coming to this, you're already aware that when I was 39 years old, I had been in the health field my whole adult life. I'd been accredited in so many different areas of health, alternative healing, complementary medicine. And at that time, I was presenting for Tony Robbins, the Living Health program. So I was teaching thousands of people worldwide how to be radiantly healthy, vibrantly healthy. And I was living, breathing those tools. I was walking my talk for sure. And I'm a New Yorker, but I ended up moving to California and I was living right on this in a beach shack, a total shack on the sand. So breathing that fresh sea air every day, healthy vegetarian food, 70% of it fresh and raw fruits and vegetables, the rest cooked. In addition to that, I was working out every day, yoga every day, meditation every day. And more important than that, I was in a marriage that I felt myself to be impossibly, deeply blessed to be in, and was doing a job I felt so blessed to be able to serve life. And the last thing I ever expected to have happened was for my tummy to start to grow and for myself to be diagnosed with what turned out to be a basketball-sized tumor. And it really sent me reeling because I was living, breathing, doing everything that was at the cutting edge of this whole field of health and well-being and cellular healing. And I can remember I was leaving the surgeon's office and I had just gotten this horrendous diagnosis. And she said I needed to get in the hospital that day to find out, is it malignant or benign? But it wasn't going to matter. I was bleeding internally. I was going to have to take whatever surgeon I could get, have it surgically removed. And I begged for some time to be able to use any one of my own alternative complementary medical practices that I had been accredited in. And she gave me, if I could get the bleeding to stop, 3 days to get the bleeding to stop. And if over that time I could get the bleeding to stop, then she gave me 1 month to give it my best shot. But we both agreed that if I wasn't significantly healed in a month's time, I need to go back to her and let her do what she knew how to do, which was surgically remove it. And I can remember walking out of her offices in downtown LA, and I was just standing there in front of her office. And at this point, my mind's going a million miles a minute. My heart's thumping through the roof. And I'm holding on to my best girlfriend's hand as we're walking out of these offices. And I looked up, and in front of me, there was a mimosa tree that looked like golden rain, a tree I hadn't even noticed going into the offices. And as I looked at that tree, I was absolutely arrested by its beauty. Time stopped, and my mind just wound down. And I was left in this field, this presence of stillness. And out of nowhere, waves of gratitude came. Gratitude just to see a tree, to see that beautiful color yellow and to smell a fragrance I hadn't smelled before. gratitude just to be allowed to breathe. And it was while I was resting in that gratitude that out of nowhere came a gut knowing that somehow I would be guided to heal. And even though I didn't have a clue how that was going to be, I was so grateful that in 1993, there was so much work going on in the field of cellular healing. And specifically, Dr. Deepak Chopra at that time, who was a medical doctor working as a chief surgeon general in a hospital in Boston, he'd done a radical thing as a doctor. He decided that he would look at patients and gather case studies of patients who had healed without any medical intervention of any kind. And he said, we know enough about what causes people, what symptoms lead to illness and what illness leads to death. We know what is causing that. He said, I don't want to know anymore about what just leads to death. I want to know what causes someone to heal. And so he amassed hundreds and ultimately over time, thousands of case studies of people who had healed without drugs or surgery. And he found that they could only have two qualities in common. One was through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the infinite intelligence, the part of you that makes your heart beat and your eyes shine and your hair grow. This vast field of presence, of love, of an enlightened awareness that you came in as. The second quality they had in common was that through some act of grace or spontaneous event, they actually got access to this that he called the cell memory. And what we know about the cells inside the body is that they all replicate at varying speeds. So for instance, if you've ever had a suntan, as I do now, you may have noticed that your tan fades in about 3 weeks' time. Why? Old cells slough off and are replaced by new regenerative cells. Liver cells take 6 weeks. Stomach, less than 3 days. And the one that blows my mind, are the eye cells, because do you know that in less than 2 days, in less than 48 hours, you will have an all-new inner eyeball? This was so inconceivable for me to even conceive of. Until my mom, she had an eye operation where it's a common one, where they slit the eye open, they insert a lens, put the flap back and put a patch on. And she could see, they took the patch off only a day and a half later, not even 2 days. And she could see clearly. As a matter of fact, there won't be a single molecule in your body a year from now that was here today. But Chopra asked a question that no one else was asking at that time. He asked, well, if it's true that our cells are all replicating at various speeds, why is it that when you look at a liver that's riddled with cancer in January, why would it be riddled with cancer in June when it's all new cells every 6 weeks? And what he postulated at that time, which is only, in further decades since then, the last 3 decades, been verified by scientists around the world, is stored inside that degenerative cells are these old, repressed, buried emotional cell memories, the old crises, the traumas, the accidents, the emotional pain that we didn't have the coping skills to deal with. And so we just buried it, we shut it down. And before that cell generation dies, it passes on its programming, its consciousness to the next cell generation. So the next cell generation is born as an exact replica of the previous cell generation. And this goes on our whole life long. And so as a result of some spontaneous event, the people who had healed spontaneously somehow open into that infinite intelligence and were guided by that to uncover the consciousness that was stored inside their cells. And if somehow they released it spontaneously, when the new cells were born, they were born devoid of that old consciousness as new regenerative cells. Now, I knew all this. I was at the cutting edge of what was happening in the field of cellular healing and alternative health and complementary medicine. But I got to tell you something. You can know all the science on the planet. You can understand how cells replicate. You can even understand how these old emotions get stored inside of our cells. But unless you have a method, it's no more than a bunch of inspirational stories on a page. And that's where I stood as I looked at that mimosa tree. And yet somehow I had this gut knowing that I would be guided to heal. And even though I didn't know how that would be, I knew inside somehow grace, truth, life would guide me. And so the rest is history. 6.5 weeks later, I ended up in Cedars-Sinai Hospital. And in that 6.5 weeks' time, I was catapulted on a life-changing spiritual journey, emotional journey, where I found a method for all of us to go on a journey inside of our bodies in a very practical way, in a very real way, get access to these old cell memories, to go through a process of release, letting go, understanding, ultimately forgiveness, so that when new cells are born, they're born devoid of that old programming as new regenerative cells. And so 6.5 weeks later, I ended up in hospital, and they did about 43 scans of my uterus, and I was pronounced textbook perfect clean, completely tumor-free. Now, that was in 1993, nearly 30 years, well, 30 years ago. And over the time, the work has evolved. It has expanded. Of course, I've seen what works in working with people and seen what doesn't work. And I first started out working in cancer centers in Britain, at the Bristol Cancer Center and the Chester Cancer Center, helping people who were undergoing chemotherapy to get to the emotional root cause of what was co-creating the illness. And over time, it didn't become just about the physical. It became very much about dealing with emotional issues. So one of the women that wrote in said she has this cyclical, overwhelming depression, which is both an emotional and a biochemical condition. And it is true that when you have a thing like depression, depression usually occurs because there's been some sort of emotional shutdown, some trauma that happened, no coping skills there. And it really is an invitation for you to go on your journey to uncover what's stored inside your body that co-created the depressive condition. My husband, my now husband, 30 years on, he came to the journey and he was diagnosed with genetically inherited cyclical depression that he'd had since he was 16 years old. And he was on a cocktail of drugs, diazepam, dimazepam, Prozac, and yet he had a prayer to get to the real root. What is creating the depression? And after doing journey work, he hasn't experienced a day of depression since that time. And as a result of that, he started wanting to serve in Britain at all of the journey intensives I was giving, and he became my business partner. And then over time, a romance sort of softly crept in, and then we were married over time. And he has subsequently written an Amazon best-selling book called Light in the Heart of Darkness, which is all about the different types of depression and how it's possible to heal no matter what type you've been diagnosed with. So all of this is inspiration for all of us, no matter what your emotional issue is, your physical issue is, even your career issues, relationship issues. You may feel that you're reacting in a certain way in your relationships that are unhealthy. As I said earlier, they are not the ones who are creating that unhealthy response inside of you. It was already inside. All that your partner does is trigger that. So even though I would love to take you on a full journey intensive right now of 3-day immersion in this very deep and liberating work. I can't do that today. But what I can do is I can take you on a little guided introspection where we really get to some of the emotional issues that are stored inside of ourselves. Most of us, when we feel an emotion, it's, an emotion comes up and we smoke it away, we drink it away, we get on the web, we surf, we on the web, we get on Facebook, we call a friend, we go to the movies, we watch Netflix. It's almost anything to avoid feeling the emotion. And so those emotions that we've been avoiding, denying, shutting down, they're buried inside of our bodies. And so I call this guided introspection a gentle welcome, where you are invited by your own choice and your own prayer to go inside the body and begin to listen to yourself, to begin taking baby steps towards being present, to really listen to what the body is trying to tell you. And I think you may be surprised at how grateful your own body is when you're willing to open and be present and listen to it. Your body wants you to heal. And even though this isn't the in-depth, powerful, journey process, it can help you begin your journey of befriending your emotions and welcoming your emotions and beginning to understand what's inside of you. So treat this as a little divine experiment of a closed eye meditation that we're going to do right now, what I call a guided introspection, where you'll have a chance just to do this divine experiment and just begin to open with whatever your body wants to share with you. And, your body will never give you something you're not ready to face. That's one of the things I've learned about our bodies. They will never give you something you're not ready to face. But if it shows up, it means, okay, I'm saying you're ready to begin welcoming and embracing what's here right now. So if you'd like to join me, let's take a nice deep breath in, letting it out, and closing the eyes, and taking a deep breath in of openness and breathing that into the room. And a deep breath in of the willingness to be present, to open, to feel whatever your body wants to reveal. Breathing willingness into the room. Trust. Trust in yourself, in grace, in your soul's prayer that it's time now to come home to your true self, that it's time to begin your healing journey, trusting that your soul wants you to heal, that your soul wants you to be free. So breathing trust into the room. Now allowing your heart to be as wide as the world. Wide enough to welcome all of the feelings that live inside of you. That's how vast this vast open sky of all acceptance is. And it's vast and open and spacious in front of you. It's boundlessly free and spacious, endless behind you. It's vast and free and open to all sides of you. boundless below, and the skylight above, just resting in this ocean, as this ocean. Ever deepening. Acceptance, peace. And now let's turn our gaze inside the body. And you already know this. The body is full of all kinds of emotions, and it's like a container full of all kinds of feelings that are stored here. And, you know, your emotions, they're like little kids. Some of your feelings, they're loud and attention seeking. Some of your emotions, they're shy and scared. And some of your feelings, you've rejected them so many times, they don't even trust you anymore. They don't even bother coming up anymore, like little kids. They hide behind closed doors, underneath lids. And so putting out a heartfelt welcome to all the feelings that live inside of you. And now locating in your body somewhere where you're feeling a little tension or stress or holding going on or contraction or hiding, somewhere where there's some sort of contraction going on. Find that area right now. And take a nice deep breath in of this acceptance that's here. And now flood that area with acceptance, letting it soften and open and be marinated and tenderized. And just asking if there were a feeling here. What might that feeling be? It might be quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling here, what might it be? Or if this area could speak and had words, what would it say to you right now? Give it a voice. And as you listen to the words, how does it make you feel emotionally? Or perhaps a picture is showing up. There is, step into it. How are you feeling in the picture? Or maybe it feels like some sort of lid has been put over this area. Imagining that there is a lid there and taking hold of it the way you would a can of peanuts where you peel back the lid. Take hold of this lid and lift it off now. What's hiding here? Welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance. And flooding that area with acceptance. And now coming to neutral. And finding a different area of your body where there may be a little tension or stress or some sort of holding going on or hiding or something feels slightly contracted there. Locate that area right now. Take a deep breath in of acceptance. Flood the area with acceptance. Letting it be bathed in acceptance. Marinated, tenderized, opened. And if there were a feeling starting to come out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. Might be quiet as a whisper. But if there were a feeling, what is it? Or if this area could speak and had words, what would it say? Give it a voice right now. Let it voice what it wants to say. And as you listen to the words, how does it make you feel emotionally? Or perhaps pictures here. If there is, step into it. How are you feeling in the picture? And once again, it might feel like you've got a lid over this area. Something's blocking this area. If there is, lift it off right now. What's hiding here? How does it make you feel emotionally? Welcoming whatever's here, whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance and flooding the area with acceptance. And now coming to neutral and finding yet a third area where there may be a little tension or stress or holding or hiding or contraction going on. Welcoming that area right now to your awareness, and take a deep breath in of acceptance. And now flood that area with acceptance, letting it be softened and opened and marinated and tenderized. And if there were feelings starting to arise out of that area, I wonder what that feeling might be. Even if you're not sure, what might it be? Or if the area could speak and had words and you gave it a voice, what would it say right now? As you listen, how does it make you feel emotionally? Perhaps there is a picture somewhere. If there is, stepping into it, how are you feeling in that picture? Or maybe it feels like there's a shut door somewhere. If there is, open this door. What's hiding behind it? Welcoming whatever's here and also whatever's not here. Taking a deep breath in of acceptance, flooding this area with acceptance, coming to neutral inside of yourself. And if it feels appropriate, you might like to make a promise to yourself that you're going to begin this journey of listening, being present, being open to what your body's trying to tell you, that you're going to be open to the feelings that are here, and you're just going to bathe them in acceptance. And you might even apologize for having pushed them away for so long. So if it feels appropriate, you might like to make this promise to yourself, to start being present, open, and listening to yourself. Take a nice deep breath in and sigh. Another nice deep breath in and sighing it out. And the awareness remains vast and open, spacious and free in front of you. boundlessly vast and free behind you, endlessly free and vast to all sides of you, and just resting, soaking, steeping in this vast open sky of all acceptance. Taking another nice deep breath in, letting it out. And you can open your eyes now into this vast field. And another nice deep breath in, and sighing it out. And if the eyes have not yet opened, this is your invitation to open your eyes now. For some of us, this may have been the first time we've ever given permission to ourselves to actually welcome emotions, to allow them, to feel them. And for many of us, this was just a toe dip, just a beginning with this whole concept of allowing emotions and being present to them. Some of you may have discovered there's quite deep things stored inside, and that your body has been trying to talk to you for some time. And I'd love to welcome you to write into the chat box some of the feelings that may have arisen for you into while you were just in this, divine experiment we were doing, this gentle welcome. And so if you could write, if you had some strong emotions starting to give rise to themselves, if you could write that into the chat box, and Yolanda will read out loud whatever it is you've written, and we'll talk about what's showing up here inside of all of us. So, Yolanda, is there anyone who's beginning to write in and share some of their emotions?
Thank you, Brandon. Yes, Kaz has shared tears and unloved. And
Yeah.
Christy, I felt becoming alive, then the relief of that.
Wow. Wow.
And for myself also, I found there was anger and even some like kind of hiding and hidden shame in my jaw. So,
wow.
And if anyone else would like to share, and also I didn't say before, but if anyone, I mean, I can see the videos are off today here in the Zoom room, but if you want to turn your video on, you're welcome. We're not recording your face, only Brandon, so you're welcome to kind of bring yourself into the room if you like. Yeah, go ahead.
And if anyone has any other emotions that have arisen that you'd be willing to share, there's been anger and shame shared, and feeling of not loved, and what
There's
else?
unworthiness, sadness, not good enough, and also connection to spirit.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm.
So you can see that there are these issues that are stored inside the body, and it's just validating what science has already discovered. And really what my prayer is that we give ourselves our wake-up call now before you end up like me and it ends up manifesting down the line is some sort of illness. And that, you came here because something inside of your heart said to you, it's time to come home to who you are. It's time to heal. It's not that I invited you, but that your own soul invited you. And it's time to begin that listening process. And so I really pray that you will listen to the truth inside of you, that there are a lot of things buried here, and not just one. I mean, when I was on tour and we were traveling 44 weeks out of the year to the 39 countries we work in, and it's translated in 22 languages. And so every week that I was appearing on stage over the 25 years before COVID, I was getting a journey process. I never wanted to be so arrogant as to say I have it all handled. I knew there was more than one cell memory, more than one emotional issue stored inside my body. And I felt it was a privilege every week to take the lampshade off my light, to clear whatever blocks me or holds me back on any level of being, so that this radiant peace, this love, this joy that is your essence, that is my essence, that is all our own soul, can live our life authentically, truthfully, from who you really are. And so I pray that if your heart feels called, that you'll find your way to a journey intensive. Now, there's journey intensives happening online in Australasia. And there's also a couple of journey intensives that are happening that are live in person with presenters, one in Adelaide, one in Byron Bay, where they're presenting, I'm giving the teachings, and the presenters are holding the embrace for you to undergo the work one-to-one with people that you're working with. And so you have either choice to go to. In the online ones, what's so beautiful is you get to experience this in your own home, and your home kind of fills up with this presence of peace in the space that becomes your little sanctuary as you're undergoing this deeply immersive and dynamic and experiential retreat, really, in your own home. And you get to undergo teachings, meditations, and introspections with me. And then in the afternoons, you get to have a one-to-one process with another delegate, and you're supported by journey practitioners who hold the embrace for it all. You're having it privately in a breakout room, and the journey practitioners hold this beautiful embrace. And if you have anything come up that's very strong and you're not sure about it, you raise your hand in the breakout room, and they'll immediately go in and begin working with you so that you have the deepest, most complete, the most gentle and safest processes. So you feel that by the end of this journey intensive, you feel washed clean inside and out. And you also have a whole set of tools that you can use with your kids, with your family, with your friends, to clear whatever blocks you, whatever holds you back on any level of being. And so it's a beautiful, deeply immersive retreat that you can give to yourself online or actually in person in those two locations. And Yolanda can tell you a lot more about it. And I pray that somehow I get to meet you while I'm there in Byron Bay, while I'm there in Australia, and maybe we'll have a big grad meeting for all those who've attended either the Journey Intensive online or the in-person ones, or for any journey work that you've done. And maybe we'll have that up in the Byron Bay area. That would be wonderful. And so I pray I do see you again, and that you'll listen to the call home from your soul. And so I send you a heartfelt namaste, and I pass you over to Yolana, who can share with you what's going on and where and how to find out more about it. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you, Brandon. Wow, I found that, I actually discovered this journey work myself 20 years ago. And just in that little meditation with Brandon just now, I felt my whole being just soften and feeling more present, and so grateful for this work and all the ways that it's helped me in my life. And as Brandon said, that's just the beginning. So the Journey Intensive is a really profound experience, and I'll be hosting the online event. So I would, of course, love to have you here, but we also do have a Journey Intensive hosted by another practitioner, Laurie, here in the Northern Rivers. And actually, Prema is another practitioner from Adelaide, but she will be hosting this upcoming event in Melbourne. So that's the other option if you're local to the Northern Rivers area or Brisbane and you want to come down for the weekend, or if you're in Melbourne, there are options to come to these in-person events or join us online. And it really is so profound and so I want to say user-friendly, both the way that our retreats, our intensives are designed, as well as the way that the process itself works. So Chris has kindly just posted in the chat for you the link to the Journey Intensive online, and you can use the code JI50AU to get $50 off the price. So it's a 2-day weekend with a bonus day on the Monday. And if you can, I really encourage you to come for the whole 3-day intensive, because you'll find it, really kind of that last day just is very awesome. It just integrates your whole experience and takes it deeper. However, if you're working, you absolutely can't get that day off, then you will over the Saturday and Sunday learn the emotional journey process and the physical journey process. And it's and as Brandon said, actually not just learn it, but experience the process as well. And then Chris has also posted the links and the contact details for Laurie and Prema's events. I promised that if you stay to the end, that we would have a lottery and be gifting a ticket to our online journey intensive. And so I'd like to say congratulations to Gina, or the person who's called in on Gina's iPhone. You're the winner of a journey intensive ticket valued at $3.97. And so if you would like to send our office an email to email tina@thejourney.com, and she will set you up with the ticket for the event. So congratulations. And for everyone else, I wanted to offer another incentive for you tonight. We haven't done this before, but here's the thing. The journey is not something that you should just push yourself into if it's not right for you or anything like that. So I don't like that kind of salesy thing myself. But I did want to just, life gets busy and we come to an event like this and think, yes, this is really calling me, and then over the days or weeks following get distracted, and it's easy to lose contact with, actually, this does feel right for me. And so if you are feeling that call tonight and you want an extra little encouragement, I wanted to offer you the gift. If you can book tonight your journey intensive, then we'll also give you the gift of a free audiobook of the journey, where Brandon actually guides, tells you her whole story. This is that international best-selling book, and you hear it in her voice. So that's a little gift from us to you if you do feel to book your place at a journey intensive tonight. And if you do that, again, just email tina@thejourney.com and let her know that you've done it, and then she can give you that gift from us. So I hope you found this supportive. I'm happy to hang around a couple of moments if you have any questions about how the journey works, and or how the journey intensive works. I'm be more than happy to answer those questions. Just pop it in the chat and I can answer for everyone. Maybe someone else has the same question in their mind. And maybe just while I'm here, I'll let you know that when you do sign up for the journey intensive, you'll also get a PDF copy of the free ebook, The Journey. And we also give you these guided introspections that you can continue to use. So it's not just that weekend, but kind of supporting you in preparing for it and afterwards. And we also give you access to a private journey community online, which has a whole library of resources, videos on how to release fears and disempowering beliefs, find your life purpose, step into your authentic greatness, parenting insights, bringing journey work to your children, all these kinds of topics on how you can really experience the journey. So the journey intensive, our whole company is really very much about supporting you to heal and flourish in all ways, and we're committed to help you do that. So the question is, do you do dates later in December or in 2025? We don't have any other dates this year. So if you can make either the journey intensive online in November, that would be the best. But we will, I hope, inshallah, God willing, we will be holding journey intensives in 2025 as well. So if you can't make that time, then reach out to us, make sure you're on our mailing list, and we'll keep you updated when we have another date for it. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and wishing you a very peaceful evening and sleep and enjoy. And I think Chris has just some closing video for us. You can hear from more of our Journey Intensive graduates and Journey practitioners about their experience. So you're welcome to hang around and watch that if you like. Enjoy.
My biggest win with the journey was being able to access my deepest emotions and free myself from them. I feel more calm and serene.
I found my true calling, and now today I can help others. I love to make an impact. I love to see transformation in others' lives.
For years and years, I used to feel very lonely, and now I just feel a part of everything. I feel I'm alive.
My biggest win with joining the practitioner program is owning my own life back and stepping out of a severe PTSD.
The acceptance of myself and the self-love, so I don't need others to love me. That's perfectly okay.
Life is different now because of joining the journey, because I just live in so much abundance. You know, I get up every day with a joy for living. I want to go to work. I want to meet other people.
My biggest win was the really deep knowing I actually do have the answers. They are within me.
There is a lot more certainty and openness into where I'm heading and how I'm feeling about things.
I feel more connected to life. It's not an easy path for anyone to do healing work, but it's profound.
One, I'm more balanced. Two, I'm more grateful for those persons who helped me in this life. I enrich my life every day with this wisdom.
It's priceless. There's no better, bigger investment we can do in time, money, or energy.
I was a mess before I started with this work, and I healed from lots of different types of abuse, and that's a miracle.
My life now, because of the journey, is transformed. I have confidence. Even if I struggle, it's just I have to let go. It's step after step, and it's no danger at the end.
My biggest win is myself. It doesn't have to be anything else. You can be fulfilled even if you only have yourself.
It's more peaceful. I've learned to process emotions. I learned to be more self-aware, and I've learned when you need to ask for help.
I've been able to have a really deep, long, soulful look at myself, and I've been able to uncover, recover, and heal long-term wounds.
My biggest win being a journey practitioner has been becoming a therapist and a healer, because that's what I never imagined it to be.
I'm living from a place of freedom and choice. I'm really conscious in every moment. Any sentence I say, it's coming from just pure goodness.
I feel more authentic, wearing much less of a mask. It's about being you and feeling good about it.
I can embrace all that is. I'm here to share my life, my joy. Now I can just be me.
My own journey of healing from cancer is an inspiration for others. I get to work with amazing people, see amazing transformations in their life.
My biggest win is to be yourself. Just be there for other people, to help other people heal, and just to be there.
I know that no matter what comes, I have the right instrument to deal with whatever emotions every situation will bring to me.
It really has helped me come back to a place of wholeness. I feel like completely authentic. I feel genuine. I feel like I'm in my body.
My big win is my courage and my physical healing, my emotional healing. But in one word, I could say freedom.
The journey is all about releasing all of the emotions that create the illness. I was healed physically within 6 weeks, while I had been in pain over 3.5 years.